Being only days away from our next Magic the Gathering Pro Tour happening at MagicCon Barcelona from July 27th to the 30th, it feels only right to talk about the hottest format in competitive Magic right now, Modern. Despite Pioneer being the designated format of the current, still ongoing regional championship qualifier season, it's Modern that has grasped the community's attention with a big bump from the release of The Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth, a Universes Beyond set which saw its global tabletop release on June 23rd. Legal for sanctioned play in Modern and Legacy only, it's generally a low-powered set that, while excellent for limited play, sadly doesn't pass the high bar required to see play in the Eternal formats. However, the Lord of the Rings set has dropped a few select bombs in its wake, the effects of which are so profound that they are warping the format and creating metagame chaos just a few short weeks before the professional Magic community descends on Barcelona to determine who will be crowned the Master of Modern. As previously predicted on this very series, the One Ring has warped the Modern format around it. A whole host of different decks have adopted it, from Mono Green Tron and Amulet Titan to 4-color Omnath Control, Mono Black Coffers, and Dimir One Ring Control. With One Ring decks keeping format staples like 4-color Creativity, Rhinos, Hammer Time, and Murktide down, a seismic shift has occurred in the Modern metagame, causing the One Ring decks to become inbred in order to get an advantage over one another, while also giving rise to black decks brandishing the second bomb from the Lord of the Rings set, Orcish Bowmasters. Now let's take a look at a few of the best performing decks in Modern going into the Pro Tour this weekend. Currently, the consensus top deck in Modern is almost certainly Rakdos Scam, a deck that has always flirted with Tier 1 but was never quite a mainstay. That's all changed now that some of its unfavorable matchups like Murktide and Creativity aren't seeing as much play due to the One Ring decks keeping them at bay. Rakdos also has a good game against the One Ring decks, with Orcish Bowmasters punishing additional draws while getting scammed by an early grief plus Feign Death / Undying Malice is devastating against, well, everyone. Putting 10 copies into the top 32 of last weekend's Magic Online Challenge makes Rakdos Scam the current best performing deck, and we will almost certainly see a copy or two in the top 8 of this weekend's Pro Tour. New archetypes don't arise often in Modern, however, as the One Ring decks quickly took over the format, they began to become more inbred in order to beat each other, giving rise to the new kid on the block, Dimir One Ring Control, probably the best of the slow One Ring piles. It was designed to gain the upper hand against other One Ring decks like Mono Green Tron, Mono Black Coffers, and 4-color Control, as Dimir can leverage the incredible Orcish Bowmasters very well. However, with those decks on the decline, since the decks that they prey on have been effectively pushed out of the metagame, Dimir One Ring may not be the strongest choice for the Pro Tour this weekend. Its relatively flat power curve means its matchups have to line up well, as the Dimir deck's cards won't often prevail when going head-to-head with many of the cards one may face in a format as powerful as Modern. While we may see Dimir One Ring do well at the Pro Tour, it may also crash and burn. It will all depend on how many other pilots choose to bring One Ring decks to battle. I predict this deck will put one copy into the top 8 of the Pro Tour this weekend. Another one of the most powerful Modern decks to consider at the moment, due in no small part to the boost from Orcish Bowmasters, is Yawgmoth Combo. The Bowmasters providing not one but 2 warm bodies for Yawgmoth Thran Physician to devour, combined with its effectiveness against the One Ring, makes it the ideal addition to the deck. With a consistent combo finish built around the legendary Human Cleric from Modern Horizons, as well as a solid plan B of simply attacking your opponents to death, and the ability to sideboard into the One Ring itself in certain matchups, this deck feels like it's positioned very well for this weekend. Additionally, some of its worst matchups, like Amulet Titan and Rhinos, have been kept down by the One Ring decks, strengthening its position further. As long as Mono Red Burn isn't everywhere, I feel like a Yawgmoth deck may crack the top 16 of the Pro Tour this weekend, but I would be surprised to see a copy in the top 8. One more top deck in Modern at the moment is almost certainly Mono Red Burn. Many players gravitate toward a deck like Mono Red, as it's almost certainly one of the cheapest competitive decks in Modern to put together outside of the digital realm, and seems relatively straightforward to pilot. This is also why its win rate suffers, and the data on the deck may be misleading. The Mono Red deck rewards tight play, as its pilot needs to scrape together every percentage point they can in every match. Thus, any slight misstep can have a disastrous impact. That means getting your reps in with the deck is paramount to performing well with it. The number of players that suspend Rift Bolt against a deck that can play turn 3 to Fairy Time Raveler, or turn 4 against one of the ubiquitous One Ring decks, is too damn high. Having a good matchup against the One Ring is what makes Mono Red one of the more powerful decks you can play, and it can even sideboard out its creatures against decks running efficient removal like Fatal Push in order to make itself even more resilient. That said, Omnath Locus of Creation can be tricky to beat, and Living End is a very tough match for Mono Red, so it remains to be seen how well it fares this weekend at the Pro Tour. I predict Mono Red Burn will put at least one copy into the top 8. Let us know in the comments what you think will do well in this weekend's Modern Pro Tour at MagicCon Barcelona.